So in this video here, we've got a comparison and a head-to-head between the brand new Ts2 Driver from Titleist, just recently launched as we're shooting this video, and I'm going to put it up against the 917 D2. So Ts2 has sort of superseded the D2 here. Some little difference of changes in terms of what's happening on the head here, but also some bigger claims from Titleist in terms of distance in the Ts2. So it'd be great to see whether we actually see those differences here in terms of ball speed, or whether this is something that you would maybe upgrade. If you've got 917 in the bag, would you upgrade to the Ts2? So just before we jump into the video, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel and you're enjoying the content I'm producing, then please do hit that MNG logo in the bottom right hand screen, and then you can get sort of subscribed. Hit the bell icon, you get notifications, any future videos also. If you're on Instagram, give us a follow, MN Golf Coach. Keep up to speed with what's happening, new video releases, and hopefully let's improve your games. Okay, so we've seen a new launch here from Titleist and TS, so Titleist Speed they're calling it, and Titleist Speed Project. And I sort of saw that extra speed there against my current game, which is a Ping G400, in that fitting session video. Again, you can now go and have a little look at that. But be really interested to see how that stacks up against the 917. Now, there's a lot of talk out there that maybe 917 didn't perform as well as maybe previous Titleist models. Obviously, Titleist now reshuffle things up. They're talking a little bit about speed, which is something different for them. They've never really sort of shouted about speed and everything, but I think all other brands are doing it. So I think Titleist are getting on board here and producing maybe a faster driver here, a little bit more of a distance sort of driver, but still loads of adjustability under the bonnet in terms of the neck sleeve, obviously the sure fit CG weight position and everything like that. So we'll talk a little bit about that, a little bit more detail, but we're going to start off with the 917 D2, which was the last year's model. I say it was a popular driver there, a lot of technology, and they got the sure fit CG, should I say, no, they said that properly, active recoil channel in the front here, and I've got an even flow shaft here and an X, so I'm going to use a shaft, same shaft for both heads here, and I'm going to set these both up at D2. So they're both 9.5 degree heads, okay, but D2 is a setting that is 0.75 less loft. Okay, so it's going to take it to 8.75, and then it's also slightly upright for me because obviously I'm tall. So we'll start hitting the D2 first. Okay, so the 917 D2 here, we had that grey head, which was a little bit of a change for this model for Titleist, because they've always traditionally been a black head, and actually TS has now gone back to the black head, which I think is a nicer look. Okay, so let's get this first one hit with the 917 D2. Okay, not bad strike, just leak that up the right hand side a little bit there. Strike was decent though. Okay, so that's getting out there about 289, 270 carry. That was a better strike, felt a bit more solid, a bit more penetrating off the flight there, a bit straighter. Just slightly pushed, but not a lot of curvature. That was a good hit, so 309 yards, so 286. So different, obviously, strike there. Spin 500 revs less with that particular shot, hence that little bit more distance. Now I've got the even flow, which is a new shaft offering in the TS range now. So this wasn't available in the 917, but obviously I wanted to keep the same shaft in both of these heads. And this was the shaft that the Titleist fitting guy fitted me for here. So this is even flow, the new T1100 in an X flex. Okay, so this is pretty dialed in for me. Yeah, it sounds quite loud, that. I'd be interested to hear what the TS sounds against that particular drive in terms of the 917. It does sound a little bit louder. They've also got active recoil channel, which we do lose that now in the TS. And then the sure fit CG weighting we also lose in the TS2 model. Still having the TS3, but TS2 we lose it. It's just a central weight at the back section of the head. That's a good strike again, that little bit straighter there. Started that one a little bit better. Again, good strike, and that's creeping to, yeah, just onto that 301 mark. So, okay, so there's 4 shots hit with the 917 D2. So we'll switch the head over, keep the same shaft, put TS2 in, we'll hit some shots with that. Right, okay, so now I've got TS2 in our hands. So, as I say, it stands for Titleist Speed, and number 2 is a bit like D2. This is a newer version here, but things have changed a little bit from what Titleist are claiming here. So, this is all built around speed and consistency of speed across the whole face. We know if we hit that sweet spot, we're going to get some pretty maxed out ball speed there in relation to a club head speed. But as we miss strikes, what's the drop off like? And what Titleist is saying, it's a very consistent ball speed across the face. I saw that a little bit through my fitting as I just moved my strike round subtly. Ball speed just wavered like between 1 and 2 mile an hour, I think it was. So it was very consistent on the speed, which is great. And I got a little bit more speed over my ping driver. And to be fair, I hit my ping really well in that session. So it was an interesting sort of fitting, to be honest. Now TS2, we lose the Sure Fit weight system here, so we've just got one weight at the back, which can be changed through fitting process. Obviously swing weighting, whether we're going shorter in the shaft, add that weight into the head with that weighting system there. As I said before, gone back to the black head, which I think looks stunning, very classic sort of colour in there and shape in here as you'd expect from a Titleist driver. Probably the difference here between this and the D2, it looks a little bit longer from front to back, so a little bit more longer in that sort of direction. But also the biggest thing that stands out is the face. It looks a lot flatter. And what I mean by that is the roll of the club from the heel to the middle to the toe section. Definitely more flat looking, which does give you the appearance that you're going to hit this a lot straighter. They're talking about a little bit of helping of gear effect here as they're shifting the weight around the sort of head. Now the little classic alignment there is back on the head, but this time it's switched around so the arrow is more facing the ball as opposed to away from the golf ball. So let's get this first one hit. As I say, same shaft, setting D2, same setting. Okay, so straight away there, the sound is very different. Okay, it's not as loud as D2 there. D2 was a little bit on the louder side. This is a little bit more duller, but not as dull as what you may sort of find with like composite mix of titanium composite headed drivers. They're a lot more sort of a thuddy sort of noise. This is it's a really nice sort of sound to it. It's a very solid sound, but not over loud. Yeah, lovely. Very solid feel off that. Lovely ball flight there, nice and sort of neutral. Feels really sort of solid. It's a great sound there. Definitely an improvement of the sound for me against 917 there. Looks wise, I think it's an improvement. I prefer the black finish than that grey finish. I like that flatter face. It feels to me like I'm going to hit it straighter. I don't think it'll make a massive difference there, to be honest, but it gives me that feeling that I am going to hit the ball a little bit straighter. Okay, that was definitely a toe strike. Really missed that one. I'd be interested to see how that deals. That's still gone 302. Just drawn off a little bit more left there, a little bit more gear effect sort of happening there. Ball speed 162, so dropped a little bit of ball speed by, I think about 3 mile an hour there. We'll look into that a little bit more detail there. That'll just pull them averages down a fraction there, but yeah, definitely a miss hit. That's probably the worst strike I've hit out of all of the shots there. It's a good flight. Really like the sound of that. Feels superb. Off the club face, sound is really good. Again, that's a nice one over 304 yards there. Okay, I tell you what, I'm going to hit one more because that third one, I totally missed that. So I still want to show you those numbers, but I'm going to hit another one and then I may just sort of delete that after showing you it and then try and keep the strikes as tight as I can against the 917. That's solid. Yeah, it's a lovely flight. Touching that left hand side fractionally, but a really good solid hit there. That's trundling well over there, 309 there. Probably squeeze a few more yards, a little bit of a pulley one there. Okay, so let's go look at those numbers in a little bit more detail. As I say, we'll take into account that real miss hit there. We'll have a look at it and then maybe drop that one out of the equation. Try and keep the strikes as tight as I possibly can between both drivers. Right, okay, so I've come to look at these numbers and I've had a little blip on my software here, and for some reason it's got rid of the 917 shots I hit first. Well, I don't know, it's never happened before. It's a bit of a weird one really, but anyway, it's got rid of the numbers. So what I've done, I've just hit 4 more shots with the D2 917, so hence now they are underneath the TS2, and obviously I hit that first. So kept them as near as I could in terms of what I did beforehand, but it is what it is anyway. So let's look at that TS2 first, because I'm going to show you that shot number 3, which I hit really quite poorly. So there's a drop off a ball at 162 there. It still got out there at 302, but that was a real miss hit there. So I just wanted to show you that number, but I am going to get rid of that because that was the worst strike out of all the shots I've hit. So I'll get that one deleted. Okay, and then we'll look at the averages of 4 shots with each. So club head speed, touch quicker with TS2 there, didn't feel that. Ball speed's exactly the same, which is interesting. I expected TS2 to have a little bit more out of that, but on average, exactly the same there. Launch, touch high with TS2, and that's something that Titleist claim. It's a little bit more high launch, and it's like a bomber sort of club against maybe the TS3 there. Looking at spin number there, you see a little bit lower with the TS2 against the 917 by a couple of hundred revs, so not a massive amount in it. Touch low in the flight with 917, and then distance wise 282 carry against 276. So TS2 squeezing it a little bit on yardage there, but more not through ball speed actually, but a little bit more through that little bit increased launch. Lofts are exactly the same between these two, and that slightly lower spin has just crept those few extra yards. Okay, yeah, so sorry about that little blip there, but as I say, I hit 4 more shots there just to get those numbers. So I hit 4 shots with each there. So TS2 against D2 there. So it was a bit closer than what I thought. I honestly expected TS2 to be a little bit more hotter off the club face there. Now, some of you may watch my sort of fitting video with Nick, who was the Titleist fitter there, and we were using a TrackMan there. Obviously, I've got my GC2 HMT, so there's a little difference of ball speed there from when I did the fit, and I got into sort of touching into the 70s, low 70s there with ball speed, and this one I'm sort of around mid 60s, so there's a bit of difference of ball speed there, which some of you may sort of notice. I think TrackMan for me measures things a little bit quicker than maybe what GC2 does. I don't know, it's one of those, that's a separate debate though. But obviously they were equal as per machine. I've been testing between the 917 and obviously TS2 there. So I think really for me, you know, numbers are very, very close. Obviously, I like those extra yards TS2 was giving, but that was a little bit more through that launch and spin, not necessarily speed there. In terms of looks, I think I do prefer the TS2, that black finish I much prefer. I do like that straight face, as I mentioned before, as I sit that down by the golf, but it looks like I can keep it straighter. So preference-wise there, and the sound for me is much better. It's a better sound, acoustic-wise, than 917 there. Okay, interesting video there. You know, let me know your comments down below. Have you got 917 D2 at the moment? Is that something you might upgrade to TS2? Obviously, you've got to test these yourself. This is me, this is my swing, this is my data. Obviously, you guys could be very, very different. So you need to go out and test it. There's obviously a lot of fitting options there with the neck sleeves, shaft options galore, you know, different weights, swing weights wise, and obviously then you've got TS3 to maybe put into that mix as well. So you do need to go and get fitted. As my message is always, don't buy from what I do here. This gives you a little bit of guidance, but then you've got to go out and test these yourself. Okay. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Please hit that subscribe button, very much appreciated. Hit the bell icon to get notifications on any future videos. Follow my social media platforms, all the links in the description down below, and hopefully I'll catch up with you all very soon.